were left unprotected by race and gender anti-discrimination law and by race and gender commissions, no more. All government consultations aimed at the Muslim communities will proactively seek the opinion of as wide a range of Muslim women as possible. Better feedback will lead to better government proposals. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. And as with wider Muslim communities, whilst reaching out and consulting women practically, it can only be a good thing. The fourth promise that I make is one of the reasons I believe this government has passed over the last 11 years some of the best legislation in any 11-year history of Parliament is because in 1997 we quadrupled the number of women MPs in Parliament. The more representative a Parliament is of the people she seeks to serve, the better I believe the legislation. We need to carry on making Parliament more representative, and that means Muslim women MPs, and I'm pleased that my party has already selected women of Muslim faith in 3 safe Labour seats, and I hope that goes on and extends further. The fifth thing, we will do our best to ensure that leadership and empowerment training is more readily available for British Muslim women. I refer to Baroness Uddin, who's a local. She's leading a task force to look at better women participation in local government. There are currently 20,000 councillors in the UK. 20,000. 168 are ethnic minority women, and an even smaller subfraction are Muslim women councillors in the UK out of 20,000. And as we go forward with consultations on imam trainings, why shouldn't there be a positive duty on all mosque and imams to consider the issue of gender equality and access for women? How many of us have heard stories about women being denied access to address a meeting? Why can't our children and mosque committees be taught about the power of Aisha's oratory? Aisha's oratory was described as superlative in Hadith. The quote goes, "I've heard speeches by Abu Bakr and Umar, Uthman and Ali and the Khulafa up to this day, but I've not heard speech more persuasive or beautiful than that from Aisha." Well, why are women deprived of the right to speak at meetings? The sixth thing, in terms of greater access for women, for Muslim women, to government, I'm pleased to say that we've already made a good start. Most of you will be aware of the National Muslim Women's Advisory Group, MWAG as it's called, that comprises a group of 19 women, Sabine is one of them, who are in positions of leadership or are working with the communities. They have collectively identified 3 priority areas for Muslim women, and in subgroups are currently addressing these areas through various activities in partnership with government. Members of MWAG met with Foreign Office ministers and myself last week to discuss what more can, should and must be done to help the plight of those suffering in Gaza. In a similar vein, we've appointed the Young Muslims Advisory Group, YMAG, which also includes an amazing set of awe-inspiring young British Muslims. In fact, I'm spending the afternoon after I leave here to spend some time with them. And as Minister for Race, Faith and Cohesion, you have my promise that I will make myself available to engage, to listen and work with British Muslim women in achieving your vision, our vision, for British Muslim communities and society as a whole. But you know, it's got to be a two-way street. All of you here today, all British Muslim women, have to continue to ensure that the opportunities you have are not eclipsed by the challenges you face. I reminded Professor Tariq earlier on that I remember a talk he gave 3 or 4 years ago. One of the problems with being part of the global ummah is there's always a time when your brothers and sisters are suffering around the world. And he made a speech, he gave a talk, where he talked about the power of being an active citizen. And your ability to help somebody 3,000 miles away is much stronger if you are an active citizen here on your doorstep. Well, the same applies to the challenges faced by British Muslim women in the UK. Your ability to be an active player will enable you to eclipse the challenges you face. Islam is a faith of self-empowerment. Our history is rich with those who have prospered, even in the face of adversity, both men and women. And even look at the countries of origin that most British Muslim women come from. Women have reached the highest pinnacles of power, authority and influence. For example, the current Prime Minister of Bangladesh is a Muslim woman, as is the main opposition leader. Bangladesh has elected a female Prime Minister on 4 occasions. Benazir Bhutto led in Pakistan, whilst Indira Gandhi left a lasting mark on India. Turkey has had a female Muslim Prime Minister. Even in Afghanistan, a country I visited last year, where women have often faced adversity after adversity, there are more women MPs than in many Western countries. So look, let's be clear. The barriers, we've ascertained, the barriers aren't due to our faith. The barriers are also not due to our ethnic origins. What the examples I've mentioned demonstrate to me is that the challenges are only opportunities waiting to be found. But above all, the women I've mentioned are hope givers, a concept I've spoken about before, and it's a phrase I'll continue to use as long as I'm the father of 2 daughters. Women are hope givers. As Muslims today in Britain, we've contributed greatly to every walk of life. As British Muslim women, you're a vital part of Britain. But let me ask you a question. When ordinary people look at us all, do they see hope? You may say that's a lot to ask in the current climate, but I promise I'm not asking the impossible from us. So it begs the next question: how can we become hope givers today? Well, by being good neighbours, by being good citizens, by being, as Tariq Ramadan says, active citizens, both local and global, by contributing to every part of our society. There should be no no-go areas for British Muslim women, and by ensuring that we're those who want to divide us through hate, whether they be the far right or those from within our own faith claiming to act in our name, you need to face them and you need to be the barriers to them. I believe British Muslim women have a particularly important role to play in facing down hate mongers, particularly those from within Muslim communities. Misogyny is an integral part of their ideology, which preaches that women are inferior to men. By being the best you can as professionals, as citizens, as proud Brits and Muslims, as hope givers, British Muslim women can prove that hate mongers are wrong and they're weak in the face of your strength. And it's the strength that we need when we face the problems that we often see around the world, like the current crisis in Gaza. The violence, the deaths of innocent people can drive us to despair if we let it. But like I said, don't let it make you apathetic or cynical. We need to be stronger citizens as British Muslims. Our response should be to do all that we can to work together to end the suffering through peaceful and democratic means. And you know, there's a badge of shame we all wear. You know, we're all angry and frustrated and despondent and suddenly become generous when we see the tragedy of the last 14, 15 days. But you know, those people in Gaza were there over the last year, over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years. And you know, when the bombs stop and the peace comes, you can't forget those people. And that's the challenge you face. You know, when you speak to people from Gaza or people from Palestine, they say, you know, it's all well and good, and we do appreciate the attention you give us during our tragedy and our crisis, but it's nice if you remembered us when things were less bad as well. And that's what being a strong citizen is about. But we can't offer a hope. We can't offer hope if we isolate ourselves from others in our society. We will only be the illumination, the light, the hope that others turn to when they see themselves in us and we in them. Our prophet reportedly taught that when we live in a society, we must truly be a part of that society. The prophet wasn't talking about a monocultural society. Remember, the Medina of the prophet was a multicultural city with Muslims, with Jews, with Christians, with pagans, and many of no faith. So living in diverse, integrated societies is nothing new to Islam or to Muslims. We can be both Muslim and British. There's no contradiction in that. It is, in fact, something that should be a source of pride for us. Our faith gives us the strength to be better and stronger citizens. So to conclude, British Muslim women, your country does need you, not to help us win the Eurovision Song Contest, although you can if you want, not because the more able and competent men are away fighting a war, and so you're needed for a short period of time to fill in for them in the factories, as happened during the Second World War, but you're needed and your country needs you as professionals, as role models, as leaders, as citizens, and as hope givers. Thank you, and Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.